Welcome to Creative Tien channel. Today I'm going to make a simple machine knitting project on my Brother 260 with a ribber. I'm going to use just the ribbon for this project. We are going to make the Dickey or the turtleneck piece that used to be fashionable long time ago, but it's actually very practical. So you can tuck inside your regular shirt and you get very warm instantly. It's like a scarf, but without the bulk. You can carry around with you easily. You can take it off easily. Here's my chart. It's very simple. I need 4 rectangles. The center part, I have one in the front, one in the back, so you can sew up the seams later. The 2 side pieces are the same ribbon, but half the width, so it's narrow. And after you fold in half, you can sew it together with the center piece. Since this is a ribbon, it will not curl, so there's no other finishes to do. Just sew up the seams and you'll be done. And the length of the turtleneck, you can really adjust it. If you want it longer and fold it down, you can do that, or keep it shorter. Here is the first piece I make. It's a simple 1x1 ribbon. And I'm going to make another one so you can sew up later. For the cast on, I have 20 needles on my knitter right now with every other stitches. I have needles from left 19 to right 20. Every other needle we put back to the A non-working position. And make sure we have pitch set to P3. And for the ribber, we just pull out the needle that's in between the 2 knitter needles. So it's like that. The outermost is always a knitter needle. Make sure you have the right connection arm and start from the lowest tension. It can be below 0. And this one you can do the star. And we can start thread the yarn and knit the first row. So that's our zigzag row. Now we have to hang the cast on comb. And try to center it. Now we are ready to hang the weight. Next we have to change the setting. Change the tension to 0. The same here. And we'll start the circular knitting. So we'll push the handle here. So that's the partial knitting. And the same here for the knitter, push the left side. So it will be the opposite direction. For the knitter, I have the left, and for the ribber, I have the right side. So now I'm ready to knit the next 3 rows. Now we can set it to the main tension. I use number 4 and cancel the part button. And same for the ribber. I set it to tension 4 and cancel the part. Match the counter to 000 and knit 50 rows. So I will just knit back and forth. Now I have 50 rows. I'm going to transfer all the stitches from ribber to the knitter using my double eye tool. After all the transferring, we can drop off the rubber. Now we are ready to bind off. There are many ways to do the stretchy bind off. The one I really like is to cut a yarn piece and sew it by hand. You will need at least 3 times of this length and cut the yarn. I like to use my plastic big eye needle. The plastic one is more flexible, so I find it easier to use than the metal one. And before we start, I like to cover my rubber because otherwise it can get caught easily here. So I just cover with one piece of fabric and we can start bind off. This is a sewing bind off. We did a lot in other videos. It's easier to pull a little bit. We start with a new stitch. We go from the back to the front. Pull through and go back to the first stitch. And make sure you don't pull it too tight, but you don't want it too loose either. Now we go to the third stitch from the back. And go back to the second stitch, front to the back. And the next we are going to go back to the front for the new stitch. So we can do it together. It saves some time. And go back to one stitch, front to the back. And at the same time, back to the front for the next stitch, the new stitch. So we just keep repeating that. Go back one stitch and then go to the new stitch, back to the front. Back one stitch, front to the back, and the new stitch back to the front. After binding off, we just take it off the machine. There will be some flare up at the end. You just need to stretch a little bit, and you can do a steam blocking. So now we have 2 of the center piece, one in the front, one in the back, and we are going to do the 2 side pieces the same way. For the 2 side pieces, we just want to cast on half of the stitches. So for the main pieces, we have 20 needles on the knitted, and here we only want the 10 stitches on the knitted. And we do the same 1 by 1 ribbon and knit 50 rows and bind off. So I have left 10 until the right 9 for every other needle. And for the rubber, it's between the stitches. And everything else go back to the non-working position. And we will start again the setting, go down to the lowest tension below 0, and the lowest tension here. And try to keep it around the star. And thread the yarn, have my clip, and start knitting my first row. That's our zigzag row. And hang the cast on comb and hang some weights. Change to the second setting to 0, and the part button on the left for the knitted. For the rubber, change to 0 tension, and part buttons on the right side. So we'll start the circular knitting. So we knit 3 rows. Set my counter to 000. And and change to my main tension, number 4, and cancel the part button. Change to tension 4 and cancel part. Now we are ready to knead back and forth for 50 rows. And check the weight below. Sometimes it can get caught or get stuck and you will have problem kneading. After 50 rows, we will do the same as before, transfer all stitches from ribber to knitter, and then bind off by sewing with a yarn needle. And we'll repeat again for another piece, and then we can start assembly. We have 2 main pieces, front and back, and 2 side pieces. I fold it down. So we just need to sew up here, here. So we have the neck part in a circle, and we sew up the front to the front here, and the back to the back here. And you can use matrix stitch, or just pick up 1 strand of yarn from each side, and that will be less bulky that way. And after that, we give it a steam blocking and you'll be done. I have a lot of yarn tails, so I'm going to start from here and go into the back, and the same here, and then I will finish the side of the neck the last. That's my final one. Thank you so much for watching and see you next week.